You know, they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? MCR family? Another media reaction show, post-fight show, whatever we want to call it. I still haven't really figured out a branding of these Saturday shows, because obviously the Monday through Friday is the Daily Show. You know, it's the show every day. It's our regularly scheduled free show, and obviously we have the Patreon show. But anyways, obviously got lost in the weeds right there. Anyways, Matt, Tips are Hunter, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. It's Mixed Combat Radio. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the World Boxing Super Series. You know, it's doubleheader: Josh Taylor versus Ryan Martin, Ryan Burnett versus Nonito Donaire. You can call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you are international, email me mixedcombatradio@gmail.com to get a free international permanent call-in link. So once you have that link, you can always go back to it in your emails and click on it and access the show, call in, etc. if you are international. If you're calling in via that 323 number, make sure you press 1 to get in the queue. And obviously, let's start with the fights, because that's what you guys are here to listen to discuss, etc. It was interesting because obviously both fights happen in ways, and it's the endings of both fights are quite different than I think we all thought it was going to be. The storylines coming out of it are quite different than what we had thought. Nonito Donaire winning a TKO via corner stoppage due to injury for Ryan Burnett after the fourth round, and obviously Josh Taylor getting the TKO win over Ryan Martin in the seventh round. Maybe on paper, not the most surprising thing. Obviously, the Donaire thing a little bit surprising in just the technicality of it, due to him being such a heavy underdog. However, Burnett was winning. It was competitive, but Burnett was winning, and it was due to a injury, a very freak injury. It wasn't like he got hit and he broke his jaw, and that's why he retired. It's not like he broke his hand. He missed a punch and looked like he tore his hip muscle or dislocated his hip. Hopefully, Ryan Burnett gets a healthy recovery. But there's just a lot of storylines coming out of it that I think we did not expect. Nonito Donaire looking competitive throughout, even though I thought he was losing. That's an interesting story heading into the rest of the tournament. Him going against Zolan Tete next, and then obviously the Inoue fight, if he beats Tete, is on the horizon. And with this Donaire, I'm interested in those fights. Obviously, Josh Taylor was so dominant in his win. Ryan Martin was so out of his depth. It just makes, I think, everyone really looking forward to that Prograis Taylor final fight. But to digress more to the action itself, we're going to obviously start with the Burnett fight. versus Nonito Donaire, because that was the first one up, and then the Josh Taylor fight, and then take your calls, your questions, discuss anything you guys want to discuss. Again, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Like I said, Burnett and Donaire got off to a really fast start. I thought Donaire won that first round. He found a home for his right hand early and often in that round, and Burnett really had to adapt quickly, and he did. From the second round on, his ability to slip, roll under that right hand of Donaire allowed him really to fire back his patented fast combinations, a lot of uppercuts in his combinations, and he was landing on Donaire quite well. I definitely think it's going to be one of those fights we can look back on and sort of be sort of depressed that we didn't get the actual finality we wanted in that matchup. Cameron Gillen, though, has joined me on the show. Shout out to Cameron, our co-host. Cameron, how you doing, man? Cameron. Or not. Anyways, I'll digress. Cam, just come on when you're ready, I guess. Anyways, Burnett, like I said, was winning quite well after that really rough first round. It was competitive throughout. It was all action. It was a fun fight. And then Burnett missed that right hand. And all the work that he had in the second, third, and fourth round kind of went for nothing. Donaire obviously won via TKO injury, corner stoppage. It was upsetting in a way, but also a good moment for Donaire. I don't want to take anything away from him because I think he did look good in this fight. I think we shouldn't sort of take away from how competitive Donaire was. I think most people didn't view him to be competitive in this fight due to the massive weight cut, due to him being 35 years old, and it really being the end of his career or the swan song of it in a way. Maybe obviously due to the injury, we have to sort of add the asterisk to it and sort of take away from Donaire because we have to in a way. It's not like he hit him with the body shot and he hurt his hip. This is just quite different. Cam has jumped back on. Cam, let me know when you want to come back on. Just anytime, man. Cam?
Hey, man, my internet was playing up. Can you hear me fine, yeah?
Yeah, of course, man. How you doing? Cam?
Can you hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. How you doing, man?
Yeah, not bad, man. I've had issues with my internet. I've been tied up, so I've missed the last few shows when I've said I was going to come on, so I apologize, man.
Oh, don't worry about it, man. Hey, internet issues are a pain in the ass. I had some internet issues maybe like 6 months ago and had to get like whole new internet provider and everything. That was a pain in the ass. Obviously, you watched the fights.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction overall from the evening?
I mean, I'm really devastated for Ryan Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who's young, undefeated, a world champion, and he lost his title and that O tonight in possibly the worst way. And I feel for Donaire as well because Donaire is a guy who this was his last chance tonight. His last chance to really, if he lost tonight, he probably wouldn't have had another chance at a world title. And he had a chance tonight, and he won a world title, but you can tell by Donaire, it's not how he wanted to win it. Horrible, man, because I thought the fight was settling into a nice little fight. I thought Donaire looked good. I thought he looked powerful. I thought Burnett looked good. He was looking good as well. He was looking sharp, and they were both trading at a good pace early on. And then the back injury happened, and you could tell. I mean, as soon as Burnett had that injury, Donaire backed him into that corner, and he was landing big shots. I mean, horrible way for the fight to end because you can really tell from Donaire's celebration that is not how he wanted to win. But Burnett's going to come back. It's just horrible. I was really, when Burnett, when you could see the injury happen, I thought this fight's over. Like you could just tell instantly that, especially with a back injury, right? I mean, once your back goes, it affects every part of your body. Your movement, the way you move, and everything. So horrible way for the fight to end. But yeah, man, it's just horrible. But I'm happy for Donaire in a way because I like Donaire. He's a good guy and a good fighter, and he's gonna be moving on, but just not the way we wanted to see the fight end.
I agree with everything you just said. To sort of look at it a little more forward with Donaire, because he will be fighting Zolan Tete next. What do you think about that fight going into it? Because I would say that Donaire looked quite impressive in this fight, even though I thought he was losing in a way. I thought this was going to be a blowout, and it obviously was not that, even though it has a huge asterisk attached to it. But Donaire looked good at the weight. His power was there. His combinations were there. He was landing quite at will against Burnett. How does he fare against Tete?
I actually wrote a tweet after. I think he has a very good chance of beating Tete because I've not been impressed with Tete in the last few performances, especially his last one. I know we spoke about it on the podcast after the fight. I wasn't impressed with Tete. I mean, he's so hot and cold, right? I mean, he either starches you out of there or he's going to go through a really tough 12-round fight. And for me, Tete's there to be hit, and Donaire can punch, and Donaire's going to land on Tete at some point. I actually picked Tete to win this tournament before the tournament. I'm not sure. I'm not actually confident in that at all now. Really idiotic pick. I was quite high on Tete, but I kind of looked back on his last few performances and I thought, okay, the hype isn't warranted by his performances. I think Donaire's got a very good chance. I thought he looked very good at the weigh-in yesterday. I was watching the weigh-in and I posted a picture of what he looked like. He looked quite lean. I thought he looked in good shape. And I thought he looked, full of energy today in the fight for as long as it happened. Obviously, it's hard to assess what his cardio is going to be at the weight because we only saw him do 4 rounds. But on the 4 rounds he was there, he was putting his punches together, like you said. He looked powerful. You could hear his shots. So, for me, I think we know Donaire can punch at any weight. I said this before the fight on Twitter. Every fight he's fought at, every weight division, he's hurt opponents. He hurt Walters, who was a big guy. He hurt Frampton in his last fight. He's either put a fighter down or hurt them. Put him on Queer Street. And at bantamweight, that was that bantamweight in those flyweight divisions, one of the biggest punches in those weight divisions that we've ever seen for a fact. So who knows, man? He's got the power, and Tete's there to be hit. So I'll give him a very good chance of beating Tete.
Agreed. What's next for Ryan Burnett, in your opinion?
I mean, obviously, really, if you look at it like this, I kind of see it like he lost the fight, but he didn't lose the fight, if you know what I mean. Like, it was a horrible way to end the fight. So, realistically, I'm sure, he'll come back and have a fight where he tests it out. Obviously, we need to see how severe the injury is, what kind of injury he's got, whether it's just kind of strained ligament or he's actually done some serious damage to it. So, for me, I think he doesn't need to rebuild because he didn't get beat, he didn't get outclassed, he didn't take a beating. It was just a horrible way to lose the fight. It was an injury. So, he's a young guy, world champion, undefeated. He lost that tonight, but he didn't lose the fight. And so for me, I feel like, maybe get in there with a top 15 contender and maybe kind of go for a world title after that. I don't know. He spoke about moving up to Super Bantam before, so maybe he'll do that. Or he might stick around because as far as I know, fighters who are contracted to the World Boxing Super Series can't fight until the tournament's over. So Burnett's going to be out for a while, unless he fights on one of the undercards. Maybe he'll heal up and maybe he'll be a reserve, potentially down the line if one of them get injured. That'd be a potential possibility. So, maybe they'll do that. But I think if not, get a nice kind of time off to heal from that injury and get in there with a top 15 guy.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. And also, it all really is determined on that injury, which looked pretty serious. Them having to stretch him out, and cart him off. That was concerning that he could not walk, out. Anytime a fighter cannot walk of his own volition out of the ring, that is concerning. Especially back, hip injuries, which sort of look like those can be long-term injuries. Those can be ones that follow you throughout your career. Just a concern there, health-wise for Ryan Burnett. Really hope everything's fine with him. And like you said, if it's a relatively just a bad pulled muscle, something of that nature, we see him back relatively soon and on undercard of a World Boxing Super Series event in the next 6 months. Otherwise, he's waiting for a bit.
Yeah, somebody who does want to call into the show at some point, link or when you kind of want them in.
What was that? You were cutting out a little bit.
Sorry, man. I've got somebody who wants to come on the show. Hamed, who's on one of the shows before.
Well, send Hamed the link. I already told him it's the same link that he had before, so he can always go back in his email and access that link. You can send it to him. It doesn't matter. We can always take more callers. That's no problem. I'm gonna move on to the Josh Taylor Ryan Martin fight. Obviously, just utterly dominant for Josh Taylor. Ryan Martin didn't really have much for Taylor in any way. I blame that a lot on Martin's school of training. The Abel Sanchez school, even though it has had some very high-level guys, is also a one-note school of thought, a school of boxing. It's rare you see Abel Sanchez fighters that have been there for a long time, been there from early in the career, like a Ryan Martin, be able to adapt mid-fight. And obviously Josh Taylor's boxing ability on his back foot, picking angles, his combinations, the way he works his jab in there, it's all just so high level that Martin was just a sitting duck, trying to walk down Taylor, eating combinations, and looked poor throughout. And I said this in the chat. It was before the show started in our YouTube chat. Shout out to everyone in the YouTube chat, by the way. This is just another, not to the degree, but it's another Erickson Lubin case. Ryan Martin's a very good prospect, but he did not fight the right guys on the way up to this fight. He went from top 40 competition to top 10, arguably top 5 competition with a Josh Taylor. You can't do that in the pros. Just because you are so naturally talented, maybe you're the best lightweight guy in your gym, Ryan Martin, because I know a lot of the Abel Sanchez team are bigger guys. It doesn't matter. You can't jump from top 40 competition to a Josh Taylor, a top 5 competitor in the world at your weight. You're just not ready for that. You're out of your depth in almost every capacity. And Taylor showed that. And this really, in my opinion, solidified, I think, in everyone's mind, it's going to be Prograis versus Taylor in the finals. And that fight is a 50-50 coin toss that I cannot wait to see. Cam, what were your thoughts on the Taylor-Martin fight?
Yeah, disappointing Ryan Martin. I thought he'd put a much better showing than he did. Kind of, one of the dark horses going into his tournament, I thought. But Josh Taylor, for me, he's just legit. I mean, it was about levels in there. And, Josh Taylor showed his levels. Didn't really have to do much. But like I said, very disappointing Ryan Martin. I really wanted to Ryan Martin. I thought this could be a guy that really pushes Taylor, like Postal did. But yeah, Taylor, for me, he looked confused in there. Like he didn't know what to do in times. And I don't know, man, you hit the nail on the head. Abel Sanchez, he knows all of his fighters fight one way. He's done it. He's got this a very one-dimensional. And I just feel like some of his fighters that he's had have just such a background that they've got to do other things. But I thought Ryan Martin, I don't know, man, before him, actually, I'm going to mute your mic, man, until I finish. Getting a bit of feedback off you.
I muted Hamed.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like Ryan Martin, for me, very disappointing. Josh Taylor, I'm a fan of Josh Taylor. I think, he's arguably could be our best fighter in terms of Britain over here. A lot of people have been saying on Twitter tonight. A lot of people have been saying that for a while. This is a guy who could potentially go on to do great things, potentially could become the greatest fighter that's come out of Scotland. He's got untapped potential. He's got a good resume already, considering the fact he's only had, handfuls of fights. And for me, it's either going to be him. I mean, he's got a tough fight with Baranchik. Let's kind of I feel like he's got a tough fight, but
I don't.
I think Taylor will come through that fight. Like, I don't have any questions about that. Maybe Baranchik is pretty one-dimensional. I feel like Baranchik is he's just tough, right? I mean, I kind of went back and looked at that fight over with Yigit, and he does make a lot of flaws. I remember on the last show we were talking about it, and I kind of heard what you said. I went back and looked at that fight, and Baranchik has got a lot of flaws there technically. Defensively he's very leaky, and Taylor I think will take advantage of that. I feel like at the 2, I think Prograis got a tougher fight with Relic than Taylor's got with Baranchik. I think Taylor's probably more of a lock for the final. I favour Prograis, but let's have it right. Potential Prograis and Taylor fight, that could be one of the best fights of the year next year if it happens. Like, I think that's fair to say.
Agreed. And I really disagree with Branchik being a tough fight for Taylor. I think you're going to see something very similar to this fight, where there are just vast levels. Let's not forget that it's Anthony Yiggett that he fought, who completely unproven, unknown commodity. And yeah, he was tough in there and he took a lot of shots, but that doesn't mean much. Being a tough, durable guy and losing to another tough, durable guy doesn't really mean I think you can beat a guy with the levels, the footwork, the combinations of a Taylor. I just think Taylor has everything he needs to beat Branchik in every capacity. I do think it would be exciting. I do think it would be fun, just like I think the Raylick fight for Progress will be fun and exciting. But those two fights, I think, are so easy to call just because there are obvious levels between the two respective matchups. Even Raylick in his last fight against Trinovsky looked a little bit poor, in my opinion. That was a fight I think we all thought he was going to steamroll over, and it wasn't. It was a tough fight. It was a Raylick that we haven't seen in quite some time. If you watched him, fight Francis Bartholomew a couple times, and you really thought that this guy was a dark horse in the division. He puts on the snooze fest against Trinovsky. I should say snooze fest. It wasn't an efficient fight for him. I think Prograis styles on him. I think Taylor styles on Branchik, and now we're going to have an elite, high-level fight that may determine the best guy in the division. Even though both guys aren't, legit champions. One's a WBC diamond belt holder, one's a WBC silver belt holder. I think the winner of that fight beats Jose Ramirez. I think the winner of that fight beats the winner of Saucedo versus Hooker. The person that comes out of this tournament is clearly the best person in the division, in my opinion.
I said that the other day on Twitter, and someone disagreed with me. They were like, if Ramirez beats the winner, gets the WBO belt, then it's going to be potentially him. And I'm thinking to myself, I actually think Bob Arum made a mistake. He's made two mistakes now. A big mistake was not putting Gilberto Ramirez in that 168 tournament last year. Terrible mistake, because now he's got a man in the 68 division and he's a world champion. And now you've got Jose Ramirez, who, I don't care what anybody says, right? This World Boxing Super Series is so well promoted. They do production on everything. The winner of these tournaments are always going to be regarded as number one in the division. That is my opinion on that. Based on that, they're getting the attention. Nobody's getting... Jose Ramirez is not getting international promotion because he didn't enter this tournament. He's not going to be known. If he entered this tournament, he would have had promotion worldwide. He would have been fighting all over the place. And, this is a tournament where boxing fans around the world are watching. So I don't get why Bob Arum's not put Jose Ramirez in that tournament. So for me, I have to put the winner of this tournament as number one division. Best fighters in the division, apart from one or two, seems to be the other way. So for me, I think Jose Ramirez is going to be the forgotten man. He can get the other two belts. He can get the other belt. He can beat Hooker and get the other belt, but he's going to be overshadowed by. That's for me. It's just clear to see for me.
I agree with a lot of what you said, Cam. We're gonna go to Hamed. Hamed, how you doing, man?
Yes, man, I'm good. How's it going? How you guys doing, Cam?
Doing good, doing good.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, good. I watched the fights. I thought they were good fights. I'm not too sure. I think Ryan Burnett, I thought before the fight he was kind of, I wouldn't say overhyped, but I thought he was kind of like unproven, even though he had two belts. I know he had two belts and he was unbeaten, but I saw him fight live on the Joshua Parker undercard, and I'm not too sure if he is as good as I think some of the matchroom, the way they were hyping him up and stable, because I thought before that fight, he was obviously a favourite, but I thought before the fight it was like a 50-50 fight, because Donaire was, I thought, by far the most accomplished fighter and best fighter he fought. I know Donaire was coming down like 1 or 2 weight classes, but I don't think he's ever really a featherweight. Like, his punch resistance and his punching power, 126, was definitely affected by the weight. I just think he wasn't big enough for that weight class. I thought he was a super bantamweight, probably a max, but he made the weight. I thought it was about 2-2 going into the fourth round. Burnett, it was a freak injury, so the way Donaire won, I don't think you could say it was a legitimate knockout, but he still won. I thought Donaire was getting to him. I thought it was about 2.5 to 3 rounds, but I'm not too sure if that would have been an easy fight. Donaire pushed Frampton really close in their fight, and a lot of people thought he beat Magdaleno. I don't think he won either fight, but that Magdaleno fight was really close. You could arguably say that was a draw, but pushing Frampton and Magdaleno really close. Take the Magdaleno actually fight away. Pushing Frampton really close was much bigger than Ryan Burnett. I think you gotta look at it that maybe some of the guys that Burnett had fought weren't that good. I remember when he was on the Joshua Parker undercard, and it was a really boring fight. I can't remember who he fought, but I was even thinking, because I was really close to the ring, I'm not too sure if I'm sold on this guy. I think the fight that could be a big fight, if Donaire could get to the final. I know he's got Tete in his way. If Donaire and Inouye come up, that'll be a big fight in Asia. I think that's a super fight, but I agree with Cameron. I'm not too sold on Tete. I don't know why people were saying at the beginning that Tete or Burnett were the favourites. I know not that many people said Burnett was the favourite, but there were a couple of people that were picking him. I think Inouye is clearly the favourite, but that's a really good fight with Tete and Donaire. I agree with Cameron. I think if Donaire could get in there and catch him, he could knock him out. Tete's been stopped about 2 times, I think. And the guy got knocked out by the South African guy, I can't pronounce it, I think in Mathlani. I think Donaire knocked him out. So I think this was the toughest fight for Donaire to get to the final. Obviously, once he's in the final, he'll have a tough fight if he gets there. But against Tete, maybe Styles make fights, because Tete, I've not been too sold his last 2 fights against Navas as well. I know Navas went 12 with Donaire as well, but Donaire fought him back in like 2013 or when he was in his prime.
2011, that fight.
Was it 11? And then Inouye knocked him on 2 rounds, and Tete went 12. And then Tete, against that guy who was like 4-0, Tete went 12 rounds. I'm not too sure. I think it's an open tournament on that side. I think Inouye will obviously have to answer some questions against Rodriguez, because that could be one of his toughest fights. Probably tougher than the last couple of opponents, but I think Donaire's got a chance to get to the final. That's a really good fight. I'm looking forward to Tete and Donaire.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't agree with some of it, but I'm not going to argue too much. I think Burnett's a really good opponent. Like Burnett's a top 5, top 7 competitor in the world. I think that's like, he may get overhyped by some people, but on this side of the world, in the U.S., he's not hyped at all. So he's just a hardcore darling. We respect Burnett. You know, it's a little bit different. We don't have that matchroom promoting effect in it in a way. With Tete Donaire, I agree with both of you and what Cam have said. I think Donaire has a real shot in that fight. I just think he has 0 in the final. I think we probably can all agree with that. Rodriguez might give Inoue some trouble, but I don't think he does. I really don't.
I don't think anybody beats Inoue, to be honest.
No.
Judging by the performances of the first 4 fights, Inoue just seems to be a class above. I mean, we're talking about Inoue. We're talking about potential pound for pound. Well, he is pound for me. He's pound for pound. Classes and he's moved through the weight classes. For me, Inoue is, and I've said this.
Cam, you are cutting
out.
out.
You're breaking up.
Cam, you're breaking up real bad there, Cam.
You're breaking up.
It's okay, Cam.
Hear me now.
Try again.
Right, can you hear me now? Yeah.
It's
still breaking up.
Yeah, it's still breaking up.
Can I say something?
Carry on, man. I'll try and sort
hold on very quickly, Cam. Just leave and jump back in. Usually that helps. Usually that sort of like refreshes the system in a way for you. Very quickly, I'm going to say something because I think I just want to add something to what Cam was saying. Inoue might be one of those guys. Like, he doesn't face a real competitive fight till like an Isaac Dogbe, or at 126 against guys like Leo Santa Cruz or Gary Russell Jr. or Oscar Valdez. It's going to be those types of fights. Maybe a Miguel Burchell at 130. It's going to be those fights where we start really thinking that Inoue is in a fight.
That's too much.
What do we have? What do we have to point to that Inoue is in any sort of 50-50 fight in this tournament?
But you're asking him to move up about what's Burchell and those guys are 130, isn't he? Or is it 126? 130, isn't he?
Yeah, but again, Anyway could move up to 126 and 122. You have Dogbe there. You have Magdaleno there. You have Liga Santa Cruz. Those are competitive fights.
I think we're jumping the gun. Like a lot of people are hyping up Burnett and Tete before the tournament. I think this is what I think. At the moment, they're fighting on 118, innit? So at the moment, I think let's see how the tournament plays out. Because I mean, if Donaire say does a number on Tete, do you think the perception will change? Because Donaire will argue.
No, no. Inoue is that good. And I'm not saying he's not untested. He's not.
He is untested. I don't think he's fought anyone. Let me rephrase it. I don't think he's fought anyone at this weight class.
Payano,
like some of the guys.
You don't think Payano is a legit top 10 competitor and former world champion?
I never said that. I think Rodriguez. I think Tete. Some of these guys probably, rightly so, are probably ranked ahead. What I'm trying to say is, I think Inoue. What if he wins the tournament? Then you could start saying about the weight jumping. At the moment, I think we just need to wait because a lot of people didn't give Donaire a chance. I know. Look, I'm not trying to blow up Donaire's trumpet. Like he kind of got lucky in a way. Yeah, I agree with that. Burnett might have arguably won that fight. I'm not too sure. I think Burnett might have got knocked out. He's getting hit a lot on the ropes and by big body shots. But what I'm trying to say is, let's take one step at a time because. At 126 and in my opinion, 130, that's a big jump. I know he is quite small. I think if he could win this tournament, beat whoever is it, Donaire or Tete, assuming he beats Rodriguez, and maybe 122 Dogbo. I like the Dogbo fight. I think that's a really good fight. But I mean, Donaire can punch. I think Donaire is probably, if he fights Donaire or Tete, those will probably be. Arguably Donaire, I know he's had better days and he's past his probably prime, but he's probably a bigger puncher than anyone who's Inouye's fought. I think Inoue, some people, is a bit like I get the sense with Usyk as well. They're over pushing the brakes. Like they need to pull the brakes. Like
Hamed, I gotta stop you there because both Usyk and Inoue have legit world champions on their resume early. Inoue beat Taguchi in his fourth professional fight.
I know.
Like Usyk beat every single person Usyk beat every single person in the cruiserweight division. To act like these guys aren't legit is just wrong. If you think Tete and Donaire are competitive with Inoue, I can understand that. Like I understand the argument. But to act like they're not legit world champions or they're not legit pound for pound talents, they're not legit elite boxers. No, they are. They're completely proven. They have proven a lot, more than most boxers in the world. That's why they're in that top 10 pound for pound.
Can you hear me now, yo?
Yes, Cam, you sound good.
Can I just finish one second? What I'm trying to say is, Inoue is in my top 10 pound for pound, but to say making him move up to 126 or 130, like I'm saying that's a big going fight. Well, I think we just need to hold the brakes. What I'm trying to say is this. Even with Usyk, I know Usyk cleaned out his division is a bit different, but we haven't even seen him fight a heavyweight yet. I know he fought as an amateur, but what I'm trying to say with this is a bit different. We need to see, first of all, how Inoue performs against, say, Tete or Donaire, but that's considering if he beats Rodriguez. I assume he does, but say if he starts these guys out to one round like he did McDonald and Payano, then of course you could start saying him moving up to 122 or maybe even 126, and that's a possible future plan for him, and maybe so. But at the moment, I'm just saying it's a bit early. Like he's had about 12 or 13 fights. I think I'm sold on it. I think he's the real deal. I think he could go all the way and win the tournament. But I'm just saying at the moment he's still got some questions to answer. Wouldn't you say that's fair?
No, I don't think that's fair that we have questions to ask. We haven't seen him in a competitive fight yet, and he's a 3-division champion. And again, he beat Ryuichi Taguchi, who went on to become a unified champion after he beat him. You may say you will say, oh, it's in a low weight class. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how legit they are.
But the tournament is still going on. What I'm trying to say, the tournament is not done. Like, if this is the answer you're trying to say, then we might as well not even watch the tournament. I still think he's got some. Look, I still think he's a favorite. I probably think he's going to win the tournament. But until he's won it, it's opinion. It's not a fact.
Well, of course it's all. This is all opinion. Like, we don't need to state like, oh, this is opinion, man. That ruins the conversation. That makes the conversation very boring. Okay, we're all arguing opinions here. That's the beauty of it.
No, but you could argue opinions backed up by facts. What I'm trying to say
Yes,
is,
and what facts do you have that Inoue is unproven?
I think I don't think he's beaten anyone better than Donaire at that weight class or Teti. Am I not right? He's had 2 fights.
No, you changed the goalpost. You changed the goalpost, right? You just did. Hold on, let me come in here, Hamed. You said he's unproven, and now you're switching up saying, oh, he's never beat a guy like Donaire, who's a future Hall of Famer at this specific weight class.
Because,
you're changing the goalpost. That's not the conversation.
What I'm trying to say, what is it, bantamweight, not super, but a bantamweight, I personally think he is kind of unproven because he's only had 2 fights, which are 2 rounds. Look, he beat Navas, but that was at a different weight class, and he beat Taguchi. These are good wins, but in this weight class,
he beat a top 10 competitor in 1 round.
But what I'm trying to say was, so you think Payano was better than Donaire and Teti?
Let me get in here, man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Hold on. That's not what I'm saying. You're changing the goalpost. You're talking about him being unproven in the weight class. That's your argument. He beat a top 10 competitor in 1 round in 40 seconds with a 1-2 combination. That's all he needed. To act like that doesn't prove something is just wrong.
No, I never said that, but I'm trying to say there will be tougher fights and tests ahead.
That's a different argument. That's a different argument.
That's the same.
You're saying he's unproven.
Basically, he is unproven to a degree.
He has a win over a top 10 competitor. That doesn't prove anything to you?
But I mean,
a guy that's a former world champion.
You could say Donaire's got a better win over Burnett than what he's got.
What do you mean? Burnett had an injury. What do you mean? That's better than a 1-2 combination that knocked somebody out cold in the first round? Are you serious here? Are you serious?
Burnett was a unified
champion. Please go on the record, Ahmed. Please go on the record and say that Donaire beating Burnett is a better win than Inoue knocking out Payano in 40 seconds. Please go on the record and say that.
Donaire didn't beat.
No. Donaire, the way
that's what you said.
Wait. Let me finish. You gotta let me speak. The way Inoue beat Payano was better, the performance, but the name. I think Burnett was a better fighter than. He's more accomplished. This is a matter.
Stop. Hamed. I gotta stop you there. Hamed. I gotta stop you there because that's just wild shit you're saying. To try to make that very technical argument that because Burnett was a champion, because he's a better name at the time, we can ignore the asterisk with the injury.
No, you can't overlook facts.
But you are overlooking it.
I'm not overlooking facts. You're talking 2 different subjects. A performance and a victory and a name is different. Donaire was a more accomplished fighter. He's a 4-5 weight champion. I know he was probably past his prime. And
Hamed, we're going to revert back to what you said and what I'm only arguing. You said Inoue is unproven at the weight class. He has a win against a top 10 competitor in 40 seconds. You try to discredit that by saying Donaire has a better win than Burnett.
I'm not discrediting.
That was your rebuttal to my point was Donaire beating Burnett and that being a better win. So obviously that was in a way to discredit my point of Payano's win or the win over Payano. Is it not?
No. What you're saying is right. Look, let me get the performance. What he did to Payano was a very good performance. I don't need to say about 10 times. The performance was better, but Payano. These are matters of facts. Like we don't need to go over these. Like you can't argue facts. Like Payano is just not a more accomplished fighter than Burnett or even Donaire. Like so, I think. Until he's beaten one of these guys, then you could say he's proven.
Why?
I don't think.
Why is Burnett more proven than Payano?
Well, wait, Burnett was unbeaten before this fight. Was he not unbeaten, or am I?
So just because somebody has a loss, that makes them invalid. That makes them invalid.
Let me just.
That makes them invalid.
No, I never said that, but that's what unbeaten does count. Does it not count?
Ryan Martin was undefeated.
Yeah, but it does. One drug, he's a world champion and he was unbeaten. That does count. And he was a unified forward champion.
Yes, so. And Payano's much more proven in the weight class. Payano's a much more established name in the weight class. He is.
I've never said Payano was a bum. Let me just get it. Payano was a good fighter. And what I knew he did was a good win and a good performance. But I just feel Burnett was a better fighter. And I think it's back.
But the win isn't better. The win isn't better. Donaire did not beat Burnett. Burnett beat himself.
The name was better. I said the name was.
But that doesn't matter, Hamed. That doesn't matter.
It does because we.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter because Donaire did not beat him with the punch. Donaire did not hit him with the punch and it ended the fight.
Donaire landed punches on him.
But that did not end the fight. Hamed, what are you arguing here?
You're moving goalposts.
No, you are, Hamed. I got to stop here. Hamed, we're going to go to Cam because I bet he wants to say some of these points and rebuttal to some of the things being said and discuss it. But Hamed, you're wild in here, man. You're wild in here to try to discredit Inoue. I get what you're saying, but a lot of the points you're making are just wild opinions about and moving the argument to stuff we're not arguing. Inoue is 100% proven the weight class. He is. Cam?
Yeah, I just want to test my connection here first, yeah?
Yes, you sound good.
Okay, yeah, firstly, nobody else in that tournament would have knocked out Payano in the first round. Let me just put that out there. Inoue, for me, McDonald, you can say one about that thing, but Inoue's knocked out 2 guys there in 1 round who are top 10 bantamweights and former world champions, right? He's already proven as a legitimate bantamweight based on those 2 wins. And for me, I feel like, to say that Donaire, I said at the start of the show, Donaire didn't beat Burnett tonight and Burnett didn't lose. I know that sounds very weird, but you just got to go on the outcome of the fight. There was no clear winner there. It was just a horrible way for the fight. Donaire just is the one who was raised the winner because Burnett could continue, but Donaire didn't cause that stoppage. Donaire didn't cause Burnett to lose that fight. It was just Burnett went to land a punch and he twisted and he hurt his back. But Donaire, Inoue's win over Payano for me is the best win out of all the tournaments so far. First round wins. That performance was the fact is his first punch as he landed set up the finishing punch. So you can't discredit that. I mean, Payano's a former world champion. He's been a top bantamweight for years. Inoue, for me, he didn't fight the guys that super flyweight we want to see, but to say he's unproven for me is a bit extreme. I feel like the only issue with Inoue for me is he's not been pushed back yet. We've not seen a fighter pressure him and push him back to test his chin and see how he can adapt. But that's because he's just been that good. He's fought legit opposition. He's just been that good. He's been levels above. So for me, Inoue's a clear top pound-for-pound fighter. I don't do pound-for-pound list, but he'd certainly be in my top 10 if I did do one. And for me, Inoue for me is just a clear guy. I mean, I'm not going to say he's fought the best of the best, but he's fought legitimate opposition and he's blown them away. And that is facts. Let's be real.
Hamed, we're going to go back to you. We're going to move off of Inoue, Burnett, Donaire. We're going to move off of that. Let's go to Josh Taylor, Ryan Martin. What's next for Josh Taylor? Progress, all that. And then we're going to go to other callers, Hamed.
All right, I'll just keep it brief. I was just saying, as a bantamweight, compared to Tete, compared to even Donaire, like now he's got a win over Burnett, even Burnett. I just feel a bantamweight, he's a bit unproven. It's like saying, these are matter of facts, no opinion. It's like saying Usyk is not proven as a heavyweight. Now, even if he has one fight, say against, I know Bellu's a cruiserweight, that's for all the belts, but say if he has one fight.
Hamed, please move off of that. Hamed, please move off that because that's not factual. That's not factual.
It is
factual. No, Hamed. Okay, we're moving to other callers now, Hamed. I'm sorry, Hamed, because you compared it to Usyk, who hasn't fought a heavyweight yet. Inoue has multiple wins over top 10 competition at the weight class. It's not a factual comparison, not even remotely so. I'm sorry, Hamed. We're moving on to other callers.
Sorry, Hamed.
I love you, Hamed. I love you, dog. But we got to move on. You've been on the show. You've been on the clock for 15 minutes here debating about Inoue being unproven, which is crazy. Going out to our occasional co-hosts out in LA, who will be here in studio with me for the UFC 230 live fight chat tonight. Santiago, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Just getting everything packed up and about to head out to Lakewood to join you for tonight's live fight chat. How you doing, Cam?
Don't give out my city like that. Like, the internet's weird. People can find me.
What's going on, man? What's going on? Hope you're doing good.
Not too bad. Yeah, I was gonna suck tonight is traffic, but what else is new?
So, what do you think of the fight, Santiago?
Well, first things first, I'm very happy that the pacing wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, just because it left me really, really irked knowing that I could have done my usual live fight updates, because as has been the case with a couple past the zone card, they kind of just lagged the whole thing. I did a lot of, kill the airtime and whatnot, and added replay fights. So the fact that they kind of kept us steady and moving along was much appreciated. Going to our two fights of the night. I feel bad for Ryan Burnett because I definitely had him winning, to say the least, too. Freak accident reminds me of what happened with that one fighter that Charles Martin fought when he twisted his ankle and then declared that a second-round knockout win for him. Shit happens, I guess. Shit happens, and I guess kudos to Donaire. Personally, though, I'm probably going to be going with Zolani Tete, early prediction for this one. I think that the age, having to move back down for the tournament is going to play a lot into it. And Josh Taylor, very impressive. Looked good. Definitely made himself out to be one of the players for this tournament along with Regis. And definitely expect to see those two at the finals. And definitely whoever comes out on top is basically bound to be a future titleist. Regardless, too, both the winner and the runner-up. Both guys are really good. I look forward to seeing them progress in this tournament. And I really don't have much more to add to that other than the fact that, I hope they keep the pacing going. I really do hope they keep this as the way they keep the pacing, because this would be much, much, much easier to help me follow through with the fights.
I agree, Santiago. And plus, the buffering issues seem to be better. They still had a few issues with the DAZN buffering, but for whatever reason, I feel like that's just going to take some time to fix for whatever reason. I don't know why that's the case. Heading out to Ron, the Mastermind, a.k.a. Fighter IQ, a.k.a. One the Coast over at the Boxing Voice. Ron, how you doing?
What's going on? I got a little Forrest Whitaker eye going on about that New Age conversation, so sorry I have to kind of little bit on that. Look, I'm just gonna say this for just the general public. People can't talk about anyone if they just don't watch the small weight class. Like, just say like, hey, I don't watch small weight classes. I don't know who this guy's fought, and leave it at that. Because it's pretty foolish to try to dissect that guy's resume, where I can rebuttal that whole Burnett shit and just crush it like quick. The opponent that Inoue just fought went in 2 fights. He beat Rashawn Warren twice, very competitive fight, which then Rashawn had a very early dominance against Ricky Hatton's fighter. I forgot how to say his name.
Zanat Zakakov. Zanat Zakakov.
Then later, yeah, so it looked like he was going to take him out early, but the ref didn't stop it, let it go, and then he lost that fight. Burnett had a very competitive, one-sided fight, but it was competitive. And then we just popped that dude out, like, get the fuck out of here. So that whole Ryan Burnett stuff, Ryan Burnett ain't never impressed me in that weight class. He never looked as all that great. I knew he came in there and took one of these top guys out. That's the history. That's the timeline of all that stuff right there, how Ryan Burnett came to this unification. I knew he just took one of those guys out, like, instantly. So let's just say the smaller weight classes, if you don't follow it, don't dissect, don't try to break all this stuff. People don't even watch Donnie Nietzsche like that. Like, just stop it. Muhammad, I don't know you, but just if you don't know the opponents, don't talk about unproven. I think Inoue is a very special, talented fighter. I don't know how far he's going to go, but he is very special. Quote, unquote, unproven in opinion. He is very special because I think he's proven. But I'm off that. The Donaire fight, just going back to that, Donaire looked a lot better than I anticipated. Ryan Burnett just didn't look that great. I know it was competitive, but in my opinion, if this is so-called the guy who's supposed to lead the tournament, supposed to be this impressive guy, Donaire is coming down a weight. He didn't know how to handle a bigger guy. Donaire was able to land these right hands. I had it like a 2-2, I wouldn't have been mad if someone had Burnett winning, but just the constant fear of just having Donaire there, present, active, pushing the corner, it just wasn't comfortable. I feared for Burnett. So the freak accident with the asterisk, I think that was a blessing because if it went 12 rounds and that type of display, I don't know if that would have did him any good. I mean, this is not great for him, but it kind of gives him a scapegoat, kind of gives him an opportunity to go back, rebuttal, build up his, career a little bit, and, get those type of fights underneath his belt and get a little bit better, I hope he doesn't really move up in weight because Donaire is definitely a guy who was a little bit bigger than him and came down. So I don't know, moving up in weight with fixed problems. I think he should just take a couple fights, slowly get back into it. And then I think a new weight's just going to win this whole thing. Tete didn't look that great before, so I'm curious to see what Donaire and him does because they both kind of have these weird vibes going on. So until that fight happens, I really can't comfortably pick someone in that fight. And Ryan Martin, man, that dude was unbelievably untested. That is Jeff Lacey and Joe Calzaghe, the small version. Like, you literally just see this guy not throwing hands, fearing to get punched, very slow, stiff. Maybe the stage was too big. Abel Sanchez was talking about he just didn't have a killer mentality. He didn't go for the gusto. Look, I think Taylor had a better performance with Postal, even though it was close, because it was Postal. He fought someone that was throwing.
Well, it was more exciting.
Punches back. He showed adversity.
It was more exciting. I wouldn't say it was a better performance. It was just more exciting.
Well, okay, I get what you're saying. Ryan Martin was a punching bag to a certain degree. Once after the second round came, I'm like, I can't watch this thing. Like, it just, I can't. It's as pretty as it looks and how dominant it is. It's kind of upsetting because you're just like,
even the ref was upset.
What can I really get out of it?
Even the ref was upset. He was like, no, it's over. And the second Martin went down, he was like, nah, this is my cue. I can go home, collect my check. It's some bullshit fight. I don't know how this guy got the opportunity for this, diamond belt. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like, this is not anything attacking Ryan Martin. It's just, I just think they threw him in way too fast, considering the fact that is a fighter that's considered unproven, untested, So for that, hopefully he goes back, takes that as a learning experience, and he can get better from it. I would like to see him progress afterwards. I don't want this to be like the end of his whole entire career. But, Taylor's just a very, he's a talented dude. You can see him. He's peaking very fast in his professional career, and he's being passed with these type of fights quickly, and he's passing. So to throw Ryan Martin in there, it's like, no. It's just foolish. But that's pretty much it, man. Hopefully Ryan Burnett gets a speedy recovery, I like to see him come back. I think he's a very talented fighter, very good. I just want him to slow down a little bit. I think he can be a world champion again.
What do you think about the progress? What do you think about
disrespect? Knew it. I'm just saying. What's up?
What do you think about the Prograis Taylor fight after this performance?
I would love to see that, especially the fact that Prograis decided to box this Terry Flanagan fight. And before, a lot of people were like, Prograis defense, he was a walking bully. All he does is just walk into punches and knocks people out. I think he wanted to show that he can box. And I'm very curious because Taylor definitely has very fast feet, very fast hand. But I think Prograis has that equalizer, which is the power. So maybe that might neutralize him a little bit, just the fear of getting caught. But I want to see it. I think whoever wins that fight for sure is definitely the man at that weight class. I think Maurice Hooker should have entered this, and that's his loss. I'm going to say the winner of this tournament is going to be the man at 140, and that's it. I want to see it. Good fight.
Very quickly, well, obviously, thank you for the call, Ron. But Hooker really didn't have much of a option there because of the purse bid. Bob Arum winning the purse bid, and Bob Arum obviously having no interest in the World Boxing Super Series because it's on a competing app and network in a sense with DAZN versus ESPN. I think that's more to play than Hooker in a sense, not wanting this. Mandatories are mandatories. That it happens all the time. Fights we want, tournaments we want. It just doesn't happen sometimes due to mandatories. Sometimes we're not lucky with a Manuel Rodriguez and Jason Maloney situation where the mandatory is, wanting to be in the tournament as well and has no network conflict there. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, be back later tonight. It's going to be the end of the show. UFC 230, Daniel Cormier versus Derek Lewis. live fight chat media reaction tonight. Santiago will join me in studio. We're going to have Popeye's Chicken in celebration of Derek Lewis getting the bag. Salute to you, Derek Lewis. Gotta get some Popeye's Chicken. Even though I am more of a Church's Chicken guy, and I know that's blasphemy for some people, but it's greasier, and greasy food is much better. That's just facts. Let's be honest. But anyways, Matt the Hipster Hunter. You can find me, Matt Hunter MCR, all platforms. Obviously, if you want to sort of stay up to date on the show, all the platforms below on the screen or in the description below will lead you to social media platforms, etc., different platforms where the show is at, all that stuff, obviously, and plus patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio to help support the channel. Shout out to Jonathan Fitch, Nija, Fat Apples, Wake Up Sheeple, Daniel Simpson, Mitty, Don Hearn, Addy Coco, and everyone else that's been joining us in the chat. Coach Mitty, a lot of people. AA Boxing Blunts, Jonathan Fitch, Fugatti, shout out to Fugatti, the Don, and obviously everyone that called in, Hamed, Santiago, Ron, I appreciate it. Cam, thank you for jumping on. I know you've been having some issues with your internet. Hope you get that fixed and everything. But anyways, be back later. Peace.